everybody. Oh, did I fuck that up?
I don't think so.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Boss Ravioli Queens with your three favorite hosts, Nicole Ravioli,
Boss Lady Amy,
and Jasmine the Queen.
Today's episode is just story time. So we're going to tell you some fun stories from previous and current jobs that we now have.
That's why we're in a comfy position in the dim lit room.
Mm-hmm.
it's the vibe today.
It is.
It's rainy out. It's icky.
You mean snowy?
Yeah, that.
It was snowing. I don't want any more snow.
Yeah, it's gross.
Also, this works out great for those of you who aren't caregivers and like dread the thought of ever having to wipe somebody else's butt. So it's like horror stories.
The spooky vibe.
Spooky in March.
The peanut butter was everywhere.
Okay, so I'm going to start it off with my grandma story.
Okay.
So, at my new job, there's a woman who has dementia, and she literally got coffee the other day, and I was walking around and I saw her with her coffee, and I was like, ooh, it looks like you got some hot, fresh coffee. And she was like, yep, just how I like it, hot and black like Obama. I fucking died. It was so funny. She'd be saying out-of-pocket shit like that all the time, though.
Oh, so I actually had a patient the other day that I had to go up and draw his blood. He was like a pretty heavy talker, but like on his like profile or whatever, his nickname on there was Stubby. And I was like, okay. I was curious. I'm like, why is this his nickname? Go up there. And I was thinking, like, maybe he's like an amputee or something, and he just thought it'd be funny to like nickname himself that. No, he told us the story about it, and he's like, believe it or not, when I was younger, I was a good-looking guy. And he's like, and the two popular girls in high school wanted to go skinny dipping, and I'm like, sure, all right. And they touched the water and they didn't get in, and I jumped right in. And when I got out, they said, hey, look at little Stubby. It was the best thing ever. I was dying.
Oh, God.
So funny.
He was a really nice guy, too. I liked him a lot. He was funny.
That's good. I know, I don't have anything bad to say about any of my residents that I currently take care of. They're all super sweet and nice.
Yeah, I usually don't have too much bad to say about any residents, but sometimes there's those select few that like just drive you up the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Oh God, I told so many stories from our first episode, Tales from the Bathroom.
Yeah, that's true. There's always so many more stories.
But I do your Barack Obama story that kind of reminded me. So I used to work knock shift in an assisted living, and so we always knock shift made the birthday cakes like when someone had a birthday. And so I remember I was in by one of my residents changing her, and I was like, hey, what kind of cake do you want for your birthday? And she was like, kid-free. I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, I want a kid-free birthday. I was like, okay, but what kind of cake, though? She was
just that cake. That
yeah,
she
was literally just like, I don't care, just no kids. Okay, I can do that.
Fair enough.
I mean, I don't blame her.
I don't blame her either.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another story that I haven't like said already.
I know, that's the thing, is like, yeah, we've been doing this for a little while now, so we've told so many stories already.
I've got a good one from the old behavioral job.
Oh God, here we go.
Okay, so we had this one resident who was fully verbal. Like, her mom literally took her to different doctors just to get diagnoses.
Oh God.
Yeah, so she could, collect the disability check and whatever until said person turned 18.
It's like Gypsy Rose.
So pretty much,
Mhm.
well, she was definitely like bipolar at least, but her mom did not raise her well, and her mom did not have a good relationship either. So, anyways, she was one of the crazy ones that would like come after us with broken glass or butter knives or basically whatever she could get her hands on, and she would try and like harm us or other residents. But there was this one specific time where she was trying to elope. For those of you that don't know, it means to run away from the home that they live in.
She's a runner. She's a track star.
Yeah. Except your girl was bigger than me. So, whatevs. Anyways,
So she was rolling away.
yes. So I was working with my roommate at the time. We were really close. And
Not me.
no, I said my roommates at the time. So my roommate hated like Miracle Whip and mayonnaise in general, and there was always a thing of Miracle Whip in the fridge. And for whatever reason, I don't remember why, but the fridge wasn't locked at that point in time.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot they
It was
locked
on
everything.
Yeah, it was on side A. So
okay.
Oh
God.
The resident and my roommate were just feuding. And the resident like grabbed a pitcher of water out of the fridge and dumped it all over my coworker, right in the middle of the kitchen. And it was like one of those gallon pitchers.
Bro, I would have went home.
No,
Yeah.
just wait. It gets so much better. So after the roomie got showered, this resident goes to the fridge and grabs the Miracle Whip and a freaking spatula.
Oh no.
And proceeds to wipe it all over my coworker. All over her shirt, in her hair, on her face. Like, it was literally everywhere. And we only had, like...
in every nook and cranny.
Oh, no. We were both on a double that day. We both agreed to work a double as long as we could work with each other, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, God.
So, in the midst of all the other craziness going on in the house, this bitch decides she's going to be the extra crazy that day. And I don't honestly remember what happened after the mayonnaise. I just remember that, oh yes I do. So my coworker grabbed like some of the mayonnaise off her shirt and wiped it on the resident's shirt. I was like, dude, this is ridiculous. So, I don't remember if she was able to like borrow some clothes from a resident while she washed hers or whatever, because that was a thing. We worked a lot of doubles there and they would allow us to do that. So it was something though. And that is one memory that I will never forget. It was fucking crazy. Just in the middle of the kitchen, this big like flood of water from this pitcher and then mayonnaise everywhere. Everywhere. And my coworker was like, it's my hair. Like, she couldn't even cry. She was so mad. But then she started doing the mad laugh. Like, the crazy mad laugh.
That's what I do. Like, all you can do is just laugh when something is so ridiculous.
You're either going to laugh or you're going to cry.
Yeah. Like,
and I mean, at least we weren't getting our
this shit
asses
up.
kicked at that point. Like, there wasn't anything. Oh, and then, sorry, this is a different story, but it just reminded me of it. So I only had the right side of my lip pierced. I just got the other side done like 2 or 3 years ago. And this resident was trying to like body check me.
Okay.
And she was only like 4 foot something. She wasn't very tall.
4 foot nothing.
She was, I think she came up to like my chest. I don't remember. But she kept trying to like shoulder check me. And I just wasn't moving because like I'm me and I know how to stand so I don't move. Like I had plenty of training and experience on this prior to her moving in there. So she's just shoulder checking me. And like at one point she even ran at me.
She was the sumo wrestle.
She was like, I'm going to rip that fucking ring right out of your lip. And I was like, go ahead. That's all I did. I covered it up and she just kept trying to like pile drive me. And I was like, at one point I held her head. Like I held her forehead.
I've done that before!
And I was like, are you done?
I feel like I would have been sassy, be like, if you can reach it.
Oh, she could reach it. She tried multiple times.
So that reminds me, actually, I had a resident who I was training somebody, and she was putting on a show. I think we've talked about this before, but like when there's new people involved, residents will like try and quote unquote impress them, but I don't know who they're impressing because they're acting crazier than normal.
They just amp up their behaviors like to the highest degree.
Yeah, and so I had this girl. She literally like charged at me. Like she came out from her bedroom and there was like a little hallway, and I was standing right by her kitchen, and she charged at me, and she got right up in my face, and she was like screaming at the top of her lungs right in my face, and I'm just like standing there, my arms crossed. And then she like goes back where she was and does it again, and then does it a few more times. And I'm just standing there, no different. I'm just like, my arms crossed, whatever. I just looked at her. I said, "Are you done?" She was like, "Yeah."
God.
And then the person I was training was like, "Wow, she really came at you." And then I was like, "Yeah. Mm-hmm." And and she was like, "Man, I can't believe you just stood there." And I was like, "Well, what else was I supposed to do?"
Right.
It's not like I can punch her or anything.
Right.
Like,
Some
God.
big old
Oh
negative.
my gosh, I have a hospital story. Actually, I was working with one of my coworkers was one of the girls or whatever, and she went into this guy's room or whatever, and he was like in the bathroom, and she just was like cleaning up like his bedside and stuff or whatever, and I just happened to be walking by as this guy came out of the bathroom, and he was gonna like shove her on his bed. Yeah. And I like caught him I caught him, he like started running at her, and I like stepped in the room really fast. I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he turned around or whatever, and he was like, "Nothing." And I like went over to my coworker and I grabbed her and I like walked her out of the room. I was like and then when we got outside, I told her what he was gonna do to her, and I was like, and she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that was about to happen." I was like,
it's crazy.
It's scary.
Like the strength that some of these people have is insane.
Yeah.
Like even the place that
we
we
were
both
talking
worked. We
about
were
that
talking
last
about this
night.
the other day. One of these residents, he was literally on hospice.
Not bedridden, but he was in a Broda chair and like tall as hell.
Mm-hmm. But like he was on hospice, so you'd think he'd be like weaker or getting weaker.
A little frail.
Something.
Maybe.
Something. He was so strong.
For
it was
no reason.
It was literally a fight every time, because he was also confused. So like it was a fight every time we had to change him. Like we would roll him, he would push back.
Yeah.
Like he would.
And he had such long, gangly arms and legs that like he could reach the wall.
Yeah.
And then if he wasn't towards the wall and he was like facing a worker or whatever, he would literally like grab your ass or like reach his hand in your pocket, but still like push back.
Yo.
And I mean, he didn't understand.
He would grab your wrists and stuff sometimes too, and it was hard to get him to release.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to release him off.
So strong.
And myself. Oh. Yeah, he was so strong.
He was so strong. Some of them are so strong.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. And like, no matter how hard you try, sometimes you just cannot get them to let go of whatever it is they're holding. Sometimes you have to have like 3 people help you.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, sometimes these people just conjure up the strength of like 10 men.
Yeah.
And it's like, where? How?
He was also a vet too.
I was sweating every time I left.
You what?
He was a vet too, like an Army veteran. Or maybe Marine. Army, Marine, something like that.
Something like that. He was a veteran.
I had a lady who, I felt so bad for her. She had dementia really bad, and literally every time we changed her, she thought we were graping her. Every single time. Every time.
I had a resident like that too. She literally, it was horrible. She was always like that. Like, she thanked me the one time I helped her, but like most of the time she would just see me being a man and she would just assume that I was like gonna rape her or something.
Well,
And my coworker literally set her next to me one time after a shift because she was like a heavy wander risk, and I was literally sitting there like charting, and she set her next to me like kind of in her wheelchair, and I was just sitting charting and stuff or whatever. And then all of a sudden she was like, and I'm like looking at her and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she's just like, "Your mother must be so proud. I don't want the sex you give here." And I was like, okay. So like a lot of people who are confused or dementia, it can go from 0 to 100
real quick.
fast. And nothing's happening. I was literally sitting there just like peeking at her, making sure she was okay, and that was it.
I have 2 more because the place that we both quit at around the same time, no notice or whatever. So the little lady, like 100-year-old in the wheelchair that would like donkey kick the fucking doors. She was so little and so sweet, but man, she had some strength and she could move.
Yeah, she
like
could.
In that wheelchair, she could move.
Yeah, she could.
Did I think maybe I've talked about this before, the lady who pulled the fire alarms. I feel like I maybe told that in Tales from the Bathroom.
I don't know.
You did.
Did you?
I remember that one.
Well, anyway, the funny part about it was that this woman who pulled these fire alarms supposedly couldn't walk.
Yeah.
And she was wheelchair bound. And
Reminds me
one
of
time I walked down, she pulled the fire alarms, and it's like 3 a.m, and I go and I look, and there she is walking down the hallway, and I'm like, oh, I thought you couldn't walk anymore. I thought you were in a wheelchair. Oh, isn't that interesting?
Isn't it though?
It reminds me of a resident at this one place. Like they swore he couldn't walk or something. No, he was too lazy to walk.
Oh, I had those.
And he would like
they drive
when
me
he
crazy.
wanted something, he would stand himself up and like grab it or go for it or whatever. But then anytime we needed him to do something, like transfer him to the bathroom and stuff, he didn't want to move.
Yeah.
Like they'd basically make us do it for them, and I'm like, "Are you serious right now?"
I had a lady who was like that. The only reason she lived in the facility was because she was morbidly obese. Like, she didn't have anything wrong with her other than that. She was fully capable. She was all there. Well, I mean, she was there as in she could make her own decisions, but whether or not she was taking care of herself, that was a different story. But, oh my God, she wanted us to do everything for her, and she could walk. Like, it wasn't that she couldn't walk. And
I had another resident like that
crazy.
too. So this is different from the first one I was talking about, but it sounds horrible, but it was really funny because like this guy had like tremors and stuff too, so he would shake a lot, and and I don't think you've been able to witness this. It was still at the one place that we worked together.
C or P?
C.
Okay.
Yep. And it was really funny. But like he had tremors and stuff, so most of the time he was like in a wheelchair and he could move himself around just fine in the wheelchair, but like when he wanted to get somewhere fast, he would just get up out of his wheelchair and basically run across the house. But because he had the tremors, he'd be running across the house and he'd be like
I did not witness that one. I did not.
Yeah, I think he passed before you started.
Yeah, he was at a house, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you told me about him.
It's one of those things where like, no, it's not funny. It's sad, but it's funny because it's so freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, and then it's like any other time you like want them to do something or like help you with something transferring or whatever, like they don't want to do it. And I'm like, I'm literally just doing this to help you. Like we need to get you fixed or cleaned up or whatever, and they just like they just want to make it like harder for like no reason.
Yeah.
It's like one of those. It's so funny when you have those residents that you literally are like sweating. You get a whole ass
Oh my
workout
God,
taking care of these people.
yes.
And then once they're all done for the day, or like once you're done with their cares, and they're all chipper and they're like, "All right, thanks."
Yep.
And you have to go on as if you did not just fight the battle of your life, just
Yeah.
trying to get them ready.
And in your head, after they're all chipper, you're like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, you're
right.
like, "Oh, you're
I
welcome,"
need
and
to
you step
walk
out. You
away
step
from
out of the
you.
room, and you're like, "Fuck you." They're like,
Yeah, and then later when they see you, oh, it's my favorite when they're like, "Is everything okay?" Yeah, fine. In your head, I'm like, no,
No, it's not
No.
okay. Get away from me.
you're not okay. So I'm not okay.
So, backtracking a little bit to the dementia and how I can go from 0 to 100 real fast. Same company, C.
Mhm.
So the house that we all worked at together, the one next to it, had the one nonverbal resident with the IV pole for feedings and stuff.
Mm.
Apparently, the staff locked themselves in the office and they had to take the IV pole away from her because she started to go after staff with it. But I also need to make it known that she was like SA'd at her previous facility, so you had to like build a rapport with her, and a lot of people just tried to like hard ass it with her, and she was not having it. She was not having it.
Honestly, though, like I do get that with her, but like the fact that you could tell like people were just like approaching it wrong because like
yes, that's what I'm saying.
Because she was SA'd, but like I usually didn't have problems with her.
Same.
Like she usually was like fairly comfortable with me. I could tell that she was like a little standoffish, but she trusted me enough to like let me do things.
Yep. The only time she ever went after me was because I made her. Because she was going after somebody else, and I was like, "We don't hit our friends, honey." And so I got in the middle of her and the staff member because the staff member was still fairly new, especially with behaviors. And so then she was like swatting at me or whatever, but she went after me for like literally 2 seconds and then just went off and did her own thing.
I think we need to just mention one resident that we all shared. That's
Nightcrawler.
Oh, no,
yeah,
I know who you're thinking.
There are
Nightcrawler.
some people that just like.
That was creepy. It's like a horror movie.
I am very much not like a person who's ready to give up on a resident, but there's some people that like we just can't have you. We just can't.
We could not have her.
Like,
absolutely not. And I was only there for like the last 2 or 3 weeks that she was there.
Yeah, you were.
I was there
That's when I
for
started.
very long.
I picked her up from the previous facility and brought her to the facility because that's what they told me to do.
Did you guys ever have like a honeymoon period with her, or was it just straight up behaviors?
Maybe the first week.
I wasn't there for that long either when she was there. I was there longer than you were with her, but you were there the longest.
Yeah, because I picked her up.
Yeah.
So I would say there was like a honeymoon period. Maybe like the first week was like a honeymoon period where she was like well behaved, she was fine, and then it just flipped. And she was like considered her own person, but you would find her at night. She would dig in her butt and smear poop all over. She would throw herself out of her bed and crawl down the hallway like a horror movie character. So like when you're on a night shift and somebody by yourself and somebody's crawling down the hallway, it scares the shit out of you.
Side note, that house was also
a
prior house and people died there.
Yeah, people had died there and there was I'm sure.
And I specifically remember having this conversation with both of you that if she ever did that while I was working, I was not working a knock ever again, and I would leave the house. Like I was like, that's some Call of Duty zombie shit, and I'm not for it.
No, it was horrible. But she would tell you, you could literally be helping her, and she would tell you how worthless and disgusting you are, and that you're going to hell, that you're the Satan spawn.
Oh, that reminds me.
She would kick, punch, hit by residents and staff.
Yeah,
it was It was really bad.
So I think maybe I mentioned this before. I don't know, but another house that you never worked there with me, but you did. But she came after you left. There was a resident who, for some reason, just like had it out for me. She hated me. And she always used to call me the N word. And I would always be like, I'm so pale. Like, what?
I know exactly who you're talking about.
And she would always be like, you and all these other black N people are all the same. And she used to tell me like how I was so worthless and I couldn't do anything right. And me and all these other N words were just terrible. And I'm
Didn't
just
she,
like,
Apparently,
didn't
she's
she call
blind.
Didn't she call you the N-word because you had a nose piercing?
yes, I was an N word because I have a nose piercing.
Okay.
Yeah, that was crazy.
You never got to meet that one. She was a trip and a half.
That was like that one lady though at the other house.
The one next to the one we worked at?
Mm-hmm.
Full time? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like the one, she wasn't even there that long, but she would treat me like trash. And it was because
she was so racist.
And it was because I was gay and she was racist.
Mm-hmm.
So she would literally treat me like crap. Like I would like take care of her like normal, doing everything like that needed to be done.
Oh yeah, that's when
and
I was
she would
poor.
berate.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, she would berate me the whole time. She did not last long.
Yeah. The one lady, so she was Native American, and I told her, I was like, hey, I have Native American ancestry. I was like, I don't have any black in me at all. And she was like, stop lying. Like, you lying bitch.
Wow.
I was like, what? I was like,
200.
we're the same, lady.
Except she would get really dark in the summer.
Yeah.
Because she would sit outside all day long and just smoke cigarettes and drink Mountain Dew.
Well, right. I mean, obviously, like, I'm not full Native American, but, like, I was just trying to explain to her, like...
That's part of your ancestry.
Right. Like, I was trying to explain to her, like, no, actually, like, you and I are closer than... Like, we have more in common than me being black. Like, I'm not black at all. And she was just so convinced that I was a dirty black N-word. And I was like, what? It was crazy.
I remember you telling me about that because that was when I was with Sir Gives Me the Ick a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so, like, because I remember, like, I was there her first day. And I remember calling you and telling you all about this, and I was so mad because my entire shift, like, she was putting me behind because she was literally in the kitchen screaming at me while I was trying to cook dinner, telling me how dirty I was and like how much of a lying bitch I was. And she just kept calling me an N-word over and over and over again. And I kept telling her, like, you're being disrespectful, like, you're being disruptive, I'm trying to get dinner out. Like, the whole shift, I was so upset by the end because, like, she wasn't leaving me alone, and it was interrupting my ability to care for the other residents.
Right. And she also had dementia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And was diabetic and didn't take care of herself at all. And also, she was her own person.
That sounds awful.
She had a care team, but she was her own person.
Yeah.
That brings up another good point, though, like how horrible, like, residents, like, from that generation can, like, be. Like, there's black people that can't even take care of certain people because they're so racist.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I remember working with you at that house, and, like, she was still mean to everybody, but she was way worse to you.
Oh, yeah.
Way worse. Like, she was a nasty old lady. She was mean. And
luckily, because of that, though, like, she didn't last long.
Well, that's because she ended up in the hospital.
Yeah, she was mean to everybody, and then she ended up in the hospital, and they refused to take her back.
Yeah, because there was a bunch of staff threatening to quit because she was, like, making up lies about everybody, trying to get people fired.
Well, also, she was arguing with the residents, too.
Yeah, she was just awful.
Yeah, the whole house hated her.
Yeah. I don't understand it.
I don't either. Anybody got closing stories?
Mm-mm.
No.
Where can they find us?
You can find us at Boss Ravioli Queens on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. You can also email us, bossravioliqueens@gmail.com. And also, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell if you
Ding.
like us.
So-
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.